Hello, I'm David Labby from BeaverPress, and today we're going to be going over some new features in the plugin User Access Extended version 1.1. So let's get started. So let's get started with one of the new features, and in this feature it integrates with the Beaver Builder 2.5 outline panel. If you open up the outline panel, if you're familiar with Beaver Builder, you'll know exactly what this is, and it's a very intuitive way to edit your page. You can edit your rows, your columns, and your modules all in kind of a list form. To show you how User Access Extended 1.1 integrates with this panel, let's go ahead and activate the plugin. You click this little user icon here. This activates the plugin. And let's go ahead and open up the outline panel back up again. So now you'll see our restriction icons now appear. We'll have a master lock icon here, a master unlock icon here, and all your rows, your columns, and your modules on your page or on your outline here will have these restriction icons here as well. If you click the row icon, it will lock that row, and if you look on the page, if you hover over, it has a red border. That means this row is restricted to your client. To lock the lock the column, you just click it, locks it. Again, on the page, it will be locked, as you can see by the red dotted border. If you want to lock a module, same thing. Let's lock this header module, and this header module is now locked. Now let's say you want to lock a whole entire row. Instead of just going down and clicking the row icon, the column icon, and all these other modules, well, there's a much easier way to do this. So let me just go ahead and unlock these icons. All you need to do is go to your row and double click the parent row here. If you double click, it locks all the children within that row. So as you can see on the page, we have the row locked by their red dotted border showing that it's locked, and all its modules within it are restricted as well. Again, you can scroll down here. Let's double click the row, move down to that part of the page. We'll double click this row. Again, it locks that row along with all its children. Now let's say you just want to lock everything within a column. Well, that works the same way. Let's scroll down here. Let's scroll to that part of the page, and let's double click just the column. Okay, the column locks along with all its children. Now using that same technique, we can unlock the sections. So let's go back up to this column, and we're going to double click the lock icon. And if it's locked and you double click it, it will unlock the column as well as its children. In this case, all these modules here. If we scroll up to this other section that we locked up, this row, and if we double click the lock icon, again, it will unlock the row and all of its children. So let's say that you want to give your client access to just one module on a page. So instead of going through and doing this process, there's a much quicker way. We can just scroll up and we can click the lock icon here. It's called the master lock icon. And when you click that, it'll give you a warning, say, are you sure you want to lock the entire page? Yes. So as you can scroll down here through the outline panel, you'll see that all the rows, columns, and modules are now locked. So now we can go back through and just let's say we want to give our client access to this H1 tag here. We'll just go ahead and click the lock icon, which will unlock it. Let's say we want to give them access to this text editor. We'll go ahead and do that. And let's just say we can give access to this row. So it makes it super easy to lock the entire page and go ahead and unlock a few items to give access to. Now that I showed you what the master lock icon does, the unlock icon does the opposite. If you click it, it will ask, are you sure you want to unlock the entire page? For this demo, yes. As you can see on the outline panel, all the locks are unlocked. The entire page reflects that on the left here. Everything is blue and unlocked. So before I wrap up this overview of the outline panel, let me just show you one last feature. If you double click, let's say any of these modules, rows, or columns, it will give you access to set restrictions within its settings. So for example, let's just say, let me lock the whole panel page down again. And I want to give access to the H1 tag for a client. So I'm going to unlock the H1 tag. And I just want them to be able to change the text and nothing else. So if I double click, it opens up the settings panel. And if you're familiar with the plugin already, you'll know how to do this part. So we'll just go ahead and check all and uncheck the heading. And now this text here will be available for the client to edit only, and that will be the only thing on the whole entire page the client will have access to. If you are unfamiliar with the plugin, I encourage you to go back and watch my previous videos, and it explains all of these steps in detail. So that is an overview of the outline panel for version 1.1. So before we continue, let me just show you another quick feature that was requested by many of you, and it is the ability to edit restriction settings within columns. So let's just go ahead and open up a column here. We'll double click it. It opens up the settings panel, and as you can see, just like before with rows and modules, you can now set restrictions within the column settings. So let's say you just want to give the client access to, say, let's just say change text color. You can say, well, check all, and we'll scroll down and uncheck the text color. And now that client will only have access to change the text color within this column. So it works much the same way as modules and rows as before. And again, if you are unfamiliar with how these features work, I encourage you to go back and watch my previous videos, and it explains all of this in detail, and so you have a better understanding how these features work. Now that we covered the outline panel as well as column settings or column restrictions, we're going to move along to one of the biggest updates of this plugin, and that is the user access profiles. Access profiles is a powerful feature that will allow you to set multiple restriction settings on a page for multiple users based on their username or roles. So let's say, for example, we have a client A, and we can give them access to, let's just say, the heading of the page, while client B, we can give them access to the photo on the page. So they both have different parts of the page they can edit. So to get started, I just want to show you that I set up 3 users for this demo. I have a client A, a client B, and a client C, and that's their username, and they all have a role of an editor. So now we are back at our demo page. I'm going to go ahead and activate the plugin, and to the right you'll see this little drop down menu, and it says the access profile, and it shows default, which is the default profile. I'll explain more about that in a moment, but let's go ahead and I'm going to create a new profile. I'll click the drop down, and we can create a new one, or we can click default, but we're going to create a new one, and we're going to name it. Let's just call it profile A, and we're going to add a user by their username. So we're going to click client A for profile A, and again, you can name this whatever you want. And I'm going to save this. And let's go ahead, and now you can see that profile A has been chosen, and then we have it shown here, and I'll explain more about what this means in a moment. Let's go ahead and create another one. Let's go add new, and let's call this profile B, and then we're going to add client B. And again, you can name this whatever you want. I'm just naming this like this for the sake of this demo. I'm going to save it. Now that we have created a couple new profiles, custom profiles, we also have our default profile. So what I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click on default profile. So we're back at default. You can see it renames it up here. So we are on our default profile. And as you can see, we still have those restrictions that we had set before. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unrestrict the whole page again. I'm going to unlock it. And now for the default user, I'm going to, let's say, I'm going to lock up the page. I'm going to lock it again, and then I'm going to unlock the header, and I'm going to unlock the text box here. And let's see, let's unlock this header as well, and unlock this text box here as well. And we can go in and change all the settings if we really wanted to. Let's see, I'll just do one for now. But for the sake of this demo, I'll just keep it like that. So the default user will be able to come in here and edit this heading. He'll be able to come in here and he'll be able to change the text in this text box. And he'll be able to come down here and he'll be able to, again, change that heading. And let's check that. And he'll be able to, let's say, edit these slides. So that is the default user. That is everybody other than client A and client B, because they are within these profiles here. So if I was to open that up, you'll see client A is there. And if I open up the profile B, you'll see client B is for that profile. Now, the other user, client C, is not been selected in any of these custom profiles. So he'll be defaulted to the default profile. So client C will have these restrictions within the default profile. Now let's go ahead and create some restrictions for profile A. So all I'm going to do is choose profile A. And you can see here, profile A is what we are working on now. And as you can see, the whole page is unrestricted because we haven't set any restrictions for profile A. So for this whole page, we're going to, let's go ahead and lock the page. And for profile A, which is going to be client A, he can come in here and we're going to give him access just to this header. So he'll be able to come in here and he'll be able to change the header. So let's lock that. And oops, let me unlock that again. Unlock the heading. Save that. So the default user in profile A, which is going to be client A, will have access to the heading. So, whoops, let me close that. So let's go ahead and let's do profile B. And let's go ahead and lock the page. And profile B, he'll be able to edit just the text in this text box. So I'm going to open that up, check that, uncheck that, save. Okay, so now we have created 2 custom profiles and a default profile. So we have 3 separate profiles. So if we go to default profile, you'll see the page reflects it. You'll see this is unlocked here. This is unlocked. We scroll down. These 2 items here are unlocked because the default profile, the user will have access to those modules. So if we go to profile A, you'll see they have access to just this heading. So it's blue, the rest is all red. The whole page is restricted. If we go to profile B, you'll see this is unrestricted and the rest of the page is restricted. Now if we open up our outline, you'll see that the outline reflects the same exact thing. If we go to the default, you'll see that the heading and this text editor is unlocked, as well as this H2 and the testimonials. If we choose profile A, again, the outline updates and it shows what the client in profile A is able to edit, and again, H1 is the only item they are able to edit. If we go to profile B, this text editor is the only item they are able to edit without restriction. Now I'm going to go ahead and save this page. I'm going to publish it. And I'm going to go ahead and switch to each user, and then we're going to see how the page responds to each user. So I'm going to use this plugin called Switch User, and I'm going to go over to client A, and it's switched over to client A. I am now client A, and let me launch Beaver Builder. So now Beaver Builder is now active for client A. Now let me just explain again. I logged out of my admin role, and I logged into a client with a username of client A, and they have an editor role. And we set their restriction or access profile to profile A. And if we remember profile A, those users can edit just this text here. And you can see that this is the only thing they are able to edit. The only capability client A has is to be able to edit just this text here. If we click on it, as you can see, they can change this text, and that's it. If we go to the outline panel, you'll see that every element on the page is grayed out. If they were to go ahead and try to click on it, you'll see this warning. You do not have permission to edit this. Okay, so let's go ahead. As you can see, the H1 tag is normal, is blue, showing that they can edit this. And if they clicked on it or double clicked it, the settings popped up and they can go ahead and edit this. And again, all the other settings on the page are restricted. They're grayed out. If they try to click on any of these, they get warnings. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close this. I'm going to save it. And now I'm going to log out of client A, and I'm going to log in as client B. And client B has an access profile of profile B. I'm going to go down, switch to client B. Again, I'm using a plugin called Switch User. As you can see here, I am now logged in as client B. I'm going to go ahead and activate the Beaver Builder plugin. So now I am logged in as client B. And if you recall, client B has a profile or access profile of profile B. And we set those restrictions for the whole page other than this text box here. This is the only thing they are able to edit. Now we can open this up and we can make changes if we really wanted to. We can delete some of this, save it. We can go check our outline panel and you'll see that it reflects the same restrictions and access as well. They can edit just this text box. They can make changes. If they try to click on any of the gray items, the restricted items, you'll see that they do not have permission to edit these. Now let's go ahead and log out of client B and log in as client C. I'm going to go to Switch User and client C. We are now logged in as client C. I'm going to go ahead and activate Beaver Builder. Now we are logged in as client C. And if we recall, client C did not have a specific profile that we set to. So they are defaulted to the default profile. And the default profile, any user within the default profile could edit this heading here, this text here, and if we scroll down, they could edit this heading here and this text box as well. And if we open up the outline panel, again, you can see that the default user or the default profile users could edit the heading, this text editor, and again, this heading down here, and this testimonials. So now I'm going to go ahead and just log back in as my admin role. I'm going to go ahead and publish this. So as you can see, this will be extremely powerful when you go ahead and set up your page for restrictions for your clients. So let me go ahead and activate the plugin again. And I'm going to go ahead and make some changes. And let's say for profile A, we're also going to include client C, which they were originally inside the default profile by default. So let's go ahead and edit this profile A. And we're going to add client C. And you can add as many users as you wish. We're going to save that. So now client A and client C will have access to edit this heading here as well. So let's go ahead and make some more changes. I'm just going to open up the profile editor and let's go ahead and delete profile B. We're just going to go ahead and delete it. And let's open this back up again and let's go ahead and edit profile A once more. Again, I'm just going over some examples of what you can do. The possibilities are kind of endless, but let's go ahead and edit profile A. And let's go ahead and I'm going to remove the users and I'm going to set our roles. So we're going to add an editor role. So all users with the role of an editor, and in this case, it's client A, client B, and client C. So all the three users with that role of editor will be able to edit this heading here. And of course, we can always make changes if we wanted to. We can also go ahead and unrestrict this text box here. So again, everybody with an editor role will be able to edit this heading here and this text box here. So now I just want to point out that every profile that you create on a page will be available on every page within the site. So let me give you an example of that. I'm going to go ahead and go to a different page. I'm going to go ahead and open up another demo page 2. I'm going to activate the user access extended plugin. And as you can see in our access profiles, we have our profile A that we created on the other page. If we go ahead and open it up, edit it, you can see that our editor role is still there. And it's available to use on this page as well. So we can just go ahead and set our restrictions if we wanted to. And again, if we go to another page, we can still use profile A on every page. So you create your profiles on any page and they'll be available on every page. So anytime you make a change, so if I was to edit this profile A here, let's go ahead and add another role, save it, and if I go back to my original page, let's go ahead and save our page on page 2. Let's go back on original page, we'll refresh. We're going to activate the plugin and go ahead and edit or look at profile A. And as you can see, contributor and editor are now available as roles. So you can edit a profile or create a profile on any page, and again, they will be available on every page. However, the restrictions on every page will be different depending on how you set them. So once again, you can see how user access profiles will be extremely powerful when it comes to you and your clients. So I hope you enjoyed the overview video of the new update for User Access Extended 1.1, which is available now to download. And again, please check out my other videos on this plugin and all other plugins from BeaverPress. I'm David Labby, and thank you for watching.